and I am your host, Diana Collins, and I have with me my good friend, my brother. It's just all the way fam, right? Since day
Yes,
one.
yes, absolutely,
Since day
absolutely.
one. Um, Michael Goodwyn. So, Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, like you said, my name is Michael Goodwyn. Um, Online, I'm Michael Grown Man Glowing Goodwyn. Um, I am a 29-year-old African American male.
You say that with pride. I'm 29.
I say that because just in a couple short weeks here, I'll be 30. I'll be crossing that line. So I say that with dread. I'm leaving my 20s, but I'm a 29-year-old African American man. I identify as gay. I am a gay African American man. Proud,
Mm-hmm. That's right.
I'm a young stunner.
That's right. That's right. And for y'all out there, he ain't single. All right, so
yeah, I am actually not single. I am not single. I am engaged, happily engaged. I've been engaged for about a year now due to COVID. COVID has pushed our, plans back.
Yeah.
But we actually took this opportunity for the better. We're actually going to be looking for housing and stuff like that throughout this. Took some advice from a good old friend, wink, wink, and we're going to do some sightseeing and area,
Good.
scouting.
All right,
should
now.
I say? But yeah,
That's great stuff. Shoot. Right. So, with you being a gay African American man, and I love your family, was it always that easy?
when you say that easy, like, what do you mean as far as?
Your family loves you and adores you to pieces. Your mom does. Let's start there.
Okay, I see where you're going. Yes and no.
Okay.
So, because, like you said, because of who I am, because I could always be my authentic self, I think my family always accepted me.
Okay.
Now, when you talk about when I came out,
mm-hmm.
there were and there are still things that my family actually still struggle with.
Okay.
When it comes to my identity. So for me, first I'll go to was it as easy? It was as easy for them to love and accept me because, like I said, I'm the baby boy. I'm who I am. I've always been the go-to guy for my mother. I've been her backbone. My brother, I've been his. My sister, I've been their rock. So sometimes it comes to a matter of, is it really worth losing this person?
Right.
So that's, I guess, what made it easy for them to accept and to love me because I was too hard of a thing to let go. I was too much love, too much power, too much structure.
Gotcha.
To let go. So it was easy in that sense.
Okay.
And I think that comes from being a strong, like you said, black man in my family,
mm-hmm.
a leader. So now when I came out,
that's a whole different story.
Huh?
That's a whole different story, right?
Now that's a whole nother story. Exactly. I did that in 2 segments, if you would say, literally 2. And I think it was a confidence thing.
Confidence. What do you mean? It was a confidence thing because you said you were a strong black man in your family and a leader in your family. So when did this confidence deter you from actually speaking your truth?
I think that because when it starts, that saying, it starts in the home first.
Mm-hmm.
Home is where the heart is. So as a single person growing up, for me, that is family. To me, that is my family. Finding my place in my family. So I was always able to be confident in my family.
Okay.
But not to the world.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
For the world, what I did was, for me, I've put myself into a cocoon-like state, I like to say,
mm-hmm.
where me, my reputation was kind of tainted for a while because I was the aggressor. You know, some gay African American men. It depends on what your story is, how you may turn out.
Mm-hmm.
Some become aggressive, some become passive, some become so many different things. For me, I was all of those things.
Okay.
You know, but I gave the passive, the love, the care, the concern, the genuineness to my family.
Gotcha.
The authenticness to my family, and I gave that real, that bold, that ready to fight, that roar to the world. But it wasn't in my sexuality; it was only in my strength.
Gotcha.
If that made sense.
Mm-hmm.
So, to me, it was a lot different to come out. So for me, that's why I said I came out in segments. My first one, you know, I came out to my family. I felt like a piece of my strength and my confidence was, as long as if I'm bold to my family, and if I can face them, then who else?
Right. Like, you were the
else?
eye of the tiger. It's like you were ready to fight.
And believe it or not, y'all, you were actually a part of my coming out story, if you remember.
Oh, yes.
If you remember, in that hotel I was telling you about.
Yes.
You know, the person I was at that time. And
yes.
Me coming out and how difficult it was. And I think you and your partner at the time, and my partner, you were the only one who knew.
Mm-hmm.
So it was so funny because outside of my born family that I was born into, you were the only other person that actually really knew. Mm-hmm. And you, again, were a part of that boldness and coming out to another part of the world. Mm-hmm. So then it was, I faced the world.
Head on.
My partner now, he's actually one of the, I'm not going to say one of the reasons, but he's one of a big part, a big piece in why I was able to come out. Because as we dated, he was so confident.
Oh, see?
And he was so bold. And he just stood in it. So for me, I'm like, wow, that, you know. And then of course you envision a life that you can have and all of the extra stuff and the dreamboat stuff and the lullabies at night, all that cute stuff. So that just added to it, of course. And then it wasn't even a conversation when I came out to the world. It was just, I think, and you follow me, if you remember, it was just the picture of he and I on the internet.
I was like,
yes, and it damn near broke the internet. My family went off. The whole family went off. The co-workers, the job went through something. It was definitely. It wasn't easy. No. It wasn't easy.
That's what wasn't easy about it?
I think that when I didn't think that I would face so much of the world. Mm. So when I say so much of the world, like you think of course, like the name calling, you know, and you think to get ahead of that, like, well, I'm not going to worry about the name calling. Right. But what you don't sometimes see, for me, in the back of my mind, that's the only part I thought it was. Mm-mm. You know, and maybe the ridicule from the family. Right. But what I didn't realize is that one day I actually went to a restaurant and there was a gentleman who didn't want to serve my friends and me because we were gay. Mm-hmm. Like, and I'm so serious. Like, I would have never thought that I would face that. Like, ever. Mm-hmm. And
that's
he was
real.
Black. He was a black man.
Yeah, it's real. And honestly, it's going to get worse. That brings me to that with added that I'm not going to go too far into it, but they just repealed one of President Obama's, I don't know if you've seen it on my page, the health department now allows you to choose whether or not, based on your religion, to treat an LGBTQ.
I did see that.
Right?
I did see that.
So that's a whole nother segment I'm going to have as well. But you're going to start to see more people refuse anyone in the LGBTQ community treatment and service based on their religious preference.
Yeah, it's and those are the things you don't think of in the coming out. And again, that's what it's just hard about it. Like I never thought that I would face that, or just some of the gay celebrities, the role models, the Jussie Smollett's, the danger that I think that he's put, gay African American men in, the light that he shined. I don't think that was positive. You just don't explain it to my nieces and my nephews, and it was definitely a pleasant conversation because I'm Uncle Mikey, and I made it. I made it comfortable,
right?
But then you think of the job. I didn't think of the job situations and how I would face those things at work. So it's so many different things that you face when you come out.
Yeah. And you pointed out quite a few that a lot of our young people don't realize because they just live in their little bubble.
Absolutely.
Right.
Because you think it's cute, and for a minute you think it's you think you have an idea, you formulate an idea of what life could be when you come out.
Right.
And we all do it. But it's never what it is. It's never what we intend to make it because we have an idea of where we want to go. But the world projects something else.
Right.
So sometimes if we're not strong enough to stand in where we want to go, that's where that course gets rocky.
Exactly. So how has it been navigating that course now that it's been, almost a year, 2 years? If not more?
It's been about 3 now.
See,
right.
3?
Yeah,
right?
Well,
I'm counting on my fingers.
You can definitely. Oh Lord, yeah, you can see. So now me and Larry's been together going on 3. Oh my God, I think me and you've been out of that hotel.
Yeah, 5.
You hit it on the nail, Jesus. See, that's why I don't want to be 20. I don't want to be 30. But how has it been? I think that I've learned to get ahead of things.
Okay, how?
And what I say that is like I'm walking truth.
Walking truth. I love that. Explain that to the audience. I know what you mean, but
I don't give someone at all times. I try my best to be real with myself.
Okay.
I don't give anybody the opportunity to tell me who I am, how I can be real, how I can accept things, how I should project things, how I should feel about things. I just try my best to be real with myself. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If I did wrong, I did wrong. If I need to learn, I need to learn. I try to accept my truth. So before you can throw it in my face, or before you can hurt me with it, I've already did it to myself. And your mind is your worst place. It could be your best palace, or it could be your worst hell.
That's it. So
I try to do it. I try to live life where it's fit mentally, and I try to really be accountable. So I get ahead of it. So when somebody, like I said, when somebody decides to disrespect me as a gay man, I've already told myself all the terrible, nasty things.
You can't say anything to me that I haven't already said to myself.
Yeah, you get what I'm saying? So I'm going to react a little different. Now I'm going to sit there calmly. And then I'm going to sit there calmly and now I can honestly say, unless things get to a physical place, I can allow things to go there. I'm a word person. We can go back and forth. But it doesn't go too far for me because mentally I can hold a person in a cage.
Gotcha.
You get what I'm saying? Because I'm so real with myself. I'm so honest. I can hold you in a cage of honesty, in a cage of truth,
Mm-hmm.
right there. I'm gonna keep you right there. So your bubble is not too high. It's not too strong. I can overtake your bubble. I can go over top your bubble. Your
Mm-hmm.
bubble is not too strong for me. It's not too high. So that's where I like to keep people. That's how I get ahead of it. That's how I stay on course, for me. Authenticity.
That's it. So being your authentic self, right? What does that mean for you in the gay community?
So for me, so I do something on the internet. It's kind of like I tell my friends and everything, come on in the room.
Yes.
So for me, my position is knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
My position is power. My position is strength. And that's what I try to encourage, from me to the younger community.
Mm-hmm.
What I try to do is I try to be as so real, and I try to project that and give that out, because I want to be an influencer, and I want to be somebody who influences a person. So if you're real enough, if you see somebody like me who can be just my authentic self and be transparent about life,
mm-hmm.
and transparent about things, I want that to be contagious. I want somebody to be able to do that for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And even if, like a good friend told me before, even if it's one person, just one person, if I touch one person, I'll be okay. So that's what I want to do. I want it to become a platform. I want my sexuality, my boldness, to become a platform of wisdom and strength, encouragement and empowerment. Because I don't want... To me, I like to think, I like to always get to the root of things, and this is just an example.
Okay.
Everybody's sexuality means something to them, and it's different.
Mm-hmm.
For whatever reason you are, whatever sex you identify, it's for a reason.
I believe that.
Whether it's you feel born into it, it was molestation, it was forced, it was rejection, it was whatever the reason, it's your own.
Mm-hmm.
I want to encourage people to stand in it and know that it's okay to do so. Because that, to me, differentiates understanding a person's sexual identity,
mm-hmm. being
ignorant towards it. I wasn't educated. I didn't know.
None of us were we?
You feel me? And I'm just now being unafraid to seek these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let it be 3 years ago, I would have been like, I love you so much, I don't think I'm going to do it. Like, I'm not, you're not. I'm going to listen to everyone, and I would support
mm-hmm.
everyone. But now it's time for us, you and I, people like you and I, to be leaders, to mm-hmm. project our wisdom.
Yeah.
Our experience.
Exactly. And that is the reason that I started the podcast, because I want to show us in an authentic light.
Absolutely.
Right? And because we have so much positivity and truth that we could share, so that this next generation that's coming up doesn't have to struggle as hard.
Absolutely.
There'll still be struggles, but they won't be as difficult, and they won't be as hard, and they will not be alone.
Yes.
Which means a hell of a lot more now than it ever will. Right?
It especially ever has. Because
ever has. Right. Coming up in Christian household, black household, go ahead and tell your mama you was gay. Go ahead and tell your mama you was a lesbian.
You can kiss the whole family goodbye.
Hello. Okay? And in truth be told, my mother still tolerates me.
That is something that's so funny when you said before, how did they deal?
Uh-huh.
And I said they're still. Because
mm-hmm.
sometimes they're just still learning to get ahead of it, or not to hide behind it.
Mm-hmm.
See, they stand in front of the title. My son's a lesbian, my daughter's a lesbian. I accept them.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't really accept it.
Nope.
They don't even understand it. They stopped at the sexuality part.
Mm-hmm.
I can get over the part that he's saying that he's gay or he's this. Like I shared with my mom, and it's so funny because, there was a time I had to completely cut my whole family and shut them out.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like I said, I've told them that I'm engaged to my fiance. We're looking to adopt. We're looking to expand our family, and we've been together going on 3 years now. We've announced our engagement maybe maybe a year and a half ago due to COVID.
Right.
I think COVID has definitely pushed us back almost. Well, going on 2
years.
now.
It's almost 2 years.
But like I said to my family, not once have y'all shown, before this COVID situation, have y'all shown any interest in my marriage, my sexuality, my life. Not even as simple, and it's so funny because there was a lady from the job, and I say all of this to say it's the little things, because it was a lady at my job that got me just this right here, and it was just a little.
Oh.
And you see the colors.
Yes.
And she's spiritual. She's so spiritual. She's such a spiritual woman. And she comes in, and I always encourage her, and she encourages me.
Mm-hmm.
And she got that for me. And it was way before. It was actually during the process that I had actually blocked and cut my family off.
Okay.
And I say, y'all show no interest in my life, my sexuality, my marriage. I'm about to give my life to this man.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
Y'all show no interest. And I said, y'all never even asked a question about the prides that I've attended, where they were, how they were, if I was okay in the midst. For God's sakes, you've never been concerned about my status.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you were to be not too personal, I respect that as well.
Right.
But not even something as simple as a little scarf. And my mom had just got me this. And I'm like, it's just the little things. You show no interest. So I say, you don't even know me.
Mm-hmm.
You don't even know me. And that's why I said, y'all just tolerate it. Y'all hide behind. Y'all just got in front of the title. That's it.
Yep.
Y'all don't know who I am and my sexuality. Y'all don't accept who I am. Y'all don't even accept me enough to show interest in who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree 100% when you say you're just tolerated. I know I'm just tolerated, but that's for me. I think when me and you have our conversations, and I think you're starting to learn me a lot more on a different level. When you get those texts that don't just seem like me, I'm in a mode where I feel like you might feel sometimes tolerated, and I just want to go.
Right.
Like, mentally, I've always, like you said, had a gypsy mind, I guess, where I just wanted to bounce from place to place. A good friend told me, like, my dad always told me I was a gypsy, and it's so funny.
Black gypsy.
Because that's what I do, but that's where all of those insecurities as a gay black man come back in to play.
Yeah.
I don't want to face those things.
So the first thing you do is run. Right?
Or I stay in my comfort place.
Right. And that's somewhere in your mind or in your home, and you shelter yourself off and you let it die down, and then you slowly reintroduce people back into your space. Right?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then you wait till there's another event or another altercation or whatever, and then you're back into that space again. So now you're at that point where it's like, I'm tired of just toddling back and forth.
Yeah,
right?
The excuses, yes.
Yeah, it's like our parents tell us, you either shit or get off the pot.
Absolutely.
Right? This back and forth is just not it, right? So I definitely can identify with that, and still do on many levels. I mean, forever, my dad, to this day, will say to Danny, "This is my son-in-law." From the day he met Danny, he said it was his son-in-law, right? Introduced him as his son-in-law. And I'm looking at him like,
Absolutely.
Dad. He said, "Well, it's fine." I was like, what the hell? We're not even there yet, you know?
Dad knew.
He knew.
Showed that interest.
He knew, and he showed that interest. He got a little too carried away sometimes talking about grandchildren and all this stuff. I just like, all right, whatever. But he actually showed genuine interest, right? Whereas my mother was totally opposite.
Right.
She's the total opposite. She's in church. If you're there, she'll introduce you as, this is, my daughter and her friend. Okay. Now that we're married and Danny's had the transition, now it's okay. This is my daughter and my son-in-law.
Got it. Wow.
Tolerated all the way, right?
Right.
And my brother too, God love him, never had the conversation with his kids. My kids, my niece and nephew would talk about, before Danny had the transition, we would still call him Aunt Danny, right?
Uh-huh.
And so my nephew would say, "This is not my aunt. This is a man. This is my uncle." So instead of having that conversation, even at that time, they just changed the subject. Just change the subject.
Yeah.
But now we have completely transitioned. It's okay.
It's okay. It's tolerated.
It's tolerated. And I love my family to death, just like you, right? We're totally family people. But now we're tired of being tolerated. We're either 100% accepted or not at all.
Exactly.
And we have to be okay with cutting people out of our life that are toxic, even if they're our family.
Absolutely. Because that's a part of the journey of strength. That's a part of the walk of strength.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes this is not easy.
Mm-mm.
The mental strain that this has on your life can be detrimental for some.
Mm-hmm. Look at the suicide rates.
Absolutely. So if you don't get ahead of it, if you don't get away from the people who cause you toxic, people who are toxic in your life, it'll consume you.
It will consume you. Exactly.
If you don't get ahead of it, if you don't, like you said, get away from those people who just tolerate you. Because when you around people who tolerate you, you always feel, in my mind, if you know you're around people who tolerate you, you always feel like you have an urgency to prove, provide, or reassure of some sort. It may not be exactly one of the sort, but it's one of them. You got to reassure them all the time. You got to be there all the time. You got to clean it up all the time for them. You always got to please somebody. Exactly.
So now is the time to stop pleasing and please ourselves. Please ourselves.
Absolutely.
Love ourselves. Yes. Right?
Have to.
So with loving ourselves, pleasing ourselves, and being our authentic selves, I told you we were talking about domestic violence, and I have a whole domestic violence segment, and right now it's just women involved. But I want to shed light on how domestic violence doesn't end just with heterosexual relationships. It doesn't begin and end with heterosexual relationships. It happens in the gay community as well. Have you, during any of your trials in life growing, had any altercations with domestic violence within the same-sex relationships that you've had?
I have. There have been situations that have gone too far. There was a situation that actually went too far. With a previous situation that I was in. And never physical to the point where it was like both were overly physical. I can say I've gone too far.
Right.
Um,
That's
even
owning
with
your truth,
my,
right?
with my, say that again.
That's owning your truth, right?
Yes, with part of mine. And at first I was a little hesitant. I'm like, not for nothing. I'm like, do I want to expose that part of my relationship for him?
Right.
But I trust that he's bold enough. And to be completely honest with you, so I have a whole thing with domestic violence.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a very big person on like not to do domestic things, but I also just learned in my current relationship that I struggle with it a lot harder than what I think.
Mm-hmm.
So for one, my father was murdered because of his relationship. It was a horrible situation.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, automatically, I don't really deal with the physical in the things. Now, with that being said, my partner is like 300 some odd pounds. And don't get me wrong, I make no excuse because I'm going to own it. I own it. I was 100% wrong. We were 100% wrong. We both, because we played a part. And we were both wrong. And he's like a big guy. So when you get into a heated argument with somebody who you're just starting to know, and it's this first time that you're in this argument with this person, and as a male, and I don't think that it was, and I'm going to be 100% honest with you, to be clear before I continue, I don't think that he is an abusive person. Mm-hmm. I know that he is not an abusive person. I want to clear that. Mm-hmm. And neither am I.
Right.
But as men,
you have that aggression, that testosterone kicks in.
And that was the part where I didn't think that, again, the coming out part, that's the part that you don't think about. You're dealing with another man whose testosterone, whose egos, whose pride are just the same, if not greater. Mm-hmm. And again, it's no excuse because it's never a reason to put your hands on someone else. But and again, so we're arguing. We're getting to a place where we're arguing. We're yelling. We're loud. And I have a place where I know where I'll go. I'm going to leave before I get to a place where I want to be yelling and going crazy and screaming and all of that. Like, right now, you can hear the tiredness in my voice. I've been up since 4. Could you imagine what it would be like if I'm screaming and hooping and hollering?
Right.
So I leave the area. We're arguing in the room. I leave the area. And he follows me. He's a big guy. And he's being very aggressive. Mm-hmm. In my mind, I'm like, he's being very aggressive. So immediately, mm-hmm. when you initially turn around, that one push is like, okay, back up. And that extend is move yourself. Mm-hmm. And then his reaction is to remove my hand. So now my reaction is to remove that hand. So now you get into that, what is that, the windmill situation.
That's right.
You're like, you move.
Start doing the Matrix and start.
Yes, and it gets into that. So again, it's never, and then it gets to a pushing match.
Yes.
So then you get there. So, yes, I've gotten there. Mm-hmm. And honestly, me and my fiance have been there twice. I say we've been there twice. Mm-hmm. The first time, again, that was not knowing each other. I honestly say that was not knowing each other's limits.
Fair. Mm-hmm.
Not for nothing. At that time, see, he didn't know that I had the issue with my father. He didn't know that my father was murdered. Mm-hmm. Due to it. And in another segment, of course, I'd love to get into a detail about, what happened. So mm-hmm. even this can be narrowed down. But that was a very big situation. He didn't know. So that went a lot further than what it should have been.
Right.
And then since then, it's been a lot of respect. And then I want to say maybe recently, we kind of just got into a tugging match. Nothing too drastic, but a tugging match, which is still not good. So I've had my experience of it. To me, that's far. Like,
that's
I
far.
would say that to me is domestic.
Right. And there's no real definition to say what's right or what's wrong with it. If you felt like it was a domestic situation, then it was a domestic situation. If you put hands on each other, it's a domestic situation. Right?
Yeah.
Because if you call the cops, they're gonna say who touched who first and what.
Yes.
Right?
Absolutely.
So it was a domestic situation. And it's great that I don't want to say it's great you went through that, but it is great that you went through that.
I agree.
Because you learned each other. You learned, again, each other's limits, each other's love language.
Yes.
Everyone takes the love language test,
Yes.
right? I still check in every now and again to make sure it's still the same. I think I'm a little off this week, but it's okay.
Yeah.
But we all, you learn each other's love language, you learn each other's limits, and you learn how to cope with each other and grow with each other.
Absolutely.
Especially since you're taking that next step and committing your lives together. And then bringing children into that. So you have to learn each other and get these pieces out early.
Agreed.
Right? Early. Because they say if you don't know what the person is like when they're completely angry, you don't want to wait until you're married and 6 kids, 3 kids deep, and then it's like, oh, this is you? Oh, no.
You into something you ain't know what you signed up for.
Yes.
Like Larry was a good, I want to say candidate, but I want to say Larry was definitely the one, I want to say. Because no matter how much we go through, I don't love him any less.
And that's when you know that's true love, and that's loving unconditionally.
As much as because, okay, I've never experienced some of the stuff that I experienced.
Okay.
As a black man. And I've dated outside my race. Not to say that he's a different black man, but coming out with a black man as a black man is different. Honey, let me tell you something. He's shown me things I've never. He's shown me crazy.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very frank with you, honey. And I think that's why, for me, it was things continue to escalate. Because until we learn that love language, like you said, those communication tools and those white flags, waving the white flags, it was like, I saw this dude was crazy. I'm talking about, you know that song Beyonce sings, Crazy in Love?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about he's I'm like, I don't have time for this. If I wanted to cheat, I would cheat. All he heard
was cheat.
Jumped out the car while the car was moving. I'm like, what? This man is crazy. And you know me. I'm like, okay, he's crazy. I can't go to this. This is abuse. Mm-hmm. I'm driving off because if he's man enough to get out the car, what else he going to do?
Right. What's he going to do when he gets back in the car?
I'm going to keep on going. I'm going to see when he go home. Maybe that walk will cool him down. And so you're right. We did need to go through so much. And like I said to him just the other day, and we're still in such a healing place. That's why, again, I started to hesitate. Like, do I want to open this can of worms? Because it's still so fresh. But I trust. Mm-hmm. Through that process, I think that he's really learned, because one of my segments are pushing through progress.
Yes.
Like pushing through the progress, So, in order for me to live through my truth, he has to walk through that journey with me through the truth.
Through his truth too.
His truth.
Yes, and you both have to face that and face it together and separate.
Absolutely.
You do, and I believe in that separate but equal statement, because if you are together 24/7 in each other's face, what are you bringing that's different to the table?
Yes.
You have to have separate lives. it it's inevitable, right? So when you come back together, you have something to share.
Yes.
Right? If you're in each other's face 24/7, you're sharing the same damn thing because you're seeing the same thing.
And believe it or not, we're that a part of that we're learning now.
Mm-hmm.
Or should I say that's the part that I'm teaching him that is okay to do.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense to you, because we are the ones that do everything. And now, like I say, it's often that I find myself, or he'll find the situation, and I'm like, I'm sick of doing the same things. I don't want to do the same things. I don't want to be in the same places. I'm like, we never have nowhere to go. If it's not me saying, let's go here, and it's usually to my siblings, to my cousins, to my friends, to my relatives' house, then sometimes you might not be able to introduce nothing.
Right.
Because you love me so much. I love it. I love how you love me. Mm-hmm. But you've been in your life with mine so well that we don't do anything if it's not or either me or just going around the same people.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to be able to do your own thing, get networking, meet new people, so we can go on those trips and meet different people. I have a good friend that's in a whole nother state that I talk to often.
Mm-hmm.
I have in different places that invite and want me to come see and want us to come meet them and their family and see how they live. So I say it all the time, and I totally agree with what you just said, because that's exactly where we're striving to be, and that's why I shared it with you a while back.
Mm-hmm.
How I feel so stagnated,
mm-hmm.
and that plays a big part because, like you said, you don't have nothing to offer. You don't have nothing to bring to the table. So it's either we just settle it or I'm dragging you through life.
Yep. And I've lived that life, and it ain't pretty. Okay? It ain't pretty.
Okay, exactly.
Which is why I say, and that's why I gave you the advice that I did, and just say, sit down, put it on paper. Where do you want to go? What do you think? And make it happen. You know, every move I've made, I've stepped out on faith.
Yes.
Because I did not want to be in that continual loop, is what I call it.
Right. Absolutely.
Right? So you make that change. But yeah, I can't wait for your podcast to come out now. We got to get that going. So what's the thoughts on that?
So honestly, I'm going to try to launch it as soon as possible. I'm going to learn how to build things, different engines on these phones and these computers. So that's what I'm learning first. But the idea behind it is it's going to be, I'm trying to be activated. I'm trying to activate my followers.
Okay.
So you know how different people have different, I don't know if you know Trent Shelton, how he's rehab. His followers are the rehabbers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and if you know another black guy, Eric Thomas, how his fans are in beast mode.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so for me, when they listen to my podcast, I want my followers to become activated.
Nice.
Remember, I said I wanted people to be, you know, I'm encouraging them, wisdom, strength, you know, support, knowledge. I want to be that. So I want to try to reach a place in their mind that they can be activated. So when they talking or when they're feeling empowered, they feel activated.
And mine is authentic self.
Yeah. So you know how you see how it is. Everything.
Yeah.
And leaders, we want to try to reach the mind.
Right.
So, and then as I do my lives on internet and different podcasts online,
mm-hmm.
I want to try to have them come on in the room. That's where we'll come in the room.
Okay.
So, you know, and as we are activated, what I want them to do is like, we'll actually be sitting down. It's going to be actually like, if you're familiar with the Jada Pinkett table talk.
Yes.
It'll be similar. So similar to like how we're doing, but
mm-hmm.
it'll be just a general. Sometimes it'll be a conversation at the table, or when we come into the room, we'll be at the table or somewhere. We'll just be having a general conversation. Like, for example, what Kanye West is doing, or the things that he just said.
Yes.
What just happened with George Floyd. You know, the non-binary, how that's becoming a big topic. You know, with the LGBTQIA community.
Right.
Just different things, or I'll invite just different couples on there to talk about how you and your couple are, like how you guys transition, or how me and my family is just, we're two gays, and then my sisters are two lesbians.
Right.
Heterosexuals, and just how it impacts, the mental behind it, how it impacts you. So that's the gist of it right now that you working with and letting it marinate and building on. Okay. That's your foundation right now. That's your foundation. Yes.
Like it. I love it. I can't wait for it to be out there. We're going to put it out there in the universe so that when it comes to fruition, we'll be just toggling back and forth.
Absolutely.
Because I think we both have the same goal in mind. Touch as many as people as we can, even if it's just one.
Yes.
That's our. I think that's our purpose. That's what the universe has set for us. So, yeah.
And it's a line, and I'm there. I'm trying to get there, and more than ever now, I'm trying to stay activated.
That's it.
I'm just trying to stay activated and keep going.
You have to, and it's hard. It's hard because you're gonna get roadblocks. You're gonna fall. You just got to be that weeble wobble.
Yes.
Right? Just get back up and just keep going, because if it's what you have on your heart, it's going to happen. Right?
Yes.
And you just keep driving. And I love y'all's love. You and Larry.
Yeah.
Y'all just too damn cute. And I can't wait for y'all wedding, because I'm going to be there.
Yes.
So
we definitely got the date. We're going to do December the 17th.
Oh.
Regardless of which day, that's actually our anniversary.
Okay.
So even if it's
a Tuesday.
Weekday, yes, we're going to go ahead and do it.
We got married on a Tuesday. That's why I said on a Tuesday.
Yes, watch it randomly happens that way. But of 2021, so.
Okay.
You'll be there.
All right. I'll be looking for that invitation. Otherwise, I'm just going to be that stalker, like, where you at? You forgot me.
You know I could never forget you.
That's right. Well, I want to thank you, and we will definitely be doing this again, because like I said, I would love for you to be a part of that conversation with my friend, honestly.
Of course.
Honestly, he really needs it.
Yes.
And I don't want to make it seem like an intervention, but it is an intervention.
Yeah, of course.
Because we've seen too many of us take our own lives for someone else's stupidity.
Absolutely.
And disrespect to us, and
lack of accountability.
And the hurt, the pain, and the despair that I have seen in this young man hurts my heart.
Absolutely.
And if we put our authentic selves and activated truths together,
yes,
I think we could actually make some changes and help. Maybe save them.
And I agree. That's exactly what our platform should be used for, especially for times like this, because the more they've reached, the more we reach.
Mm-hmm.
The more they reach out to us, the more we can reach out to them.
Exactly.
And we can turn it around. Because when we heal a heart, they'll know somebody. At that point, they'll know somebody who can heal a heart. So when they have a friend who's brokenhearted, they'll refer to us who can heal the heart.
Exactly.
So it's just,
just keep paying it forward.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So definitely.
I'm excited for it.
I am too. So we're going to plan on that. We'll touch bases and schedule that and around and definitely put that out there because I think it's something that there's somebody out there who needs to know and needs to hear it.
Absolutely.
And I think it will be beneficial all the way around.
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you.
It has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Yes.
I appreciate it. And
yes.
Anytime you need me, just call me up.
All right, honey. Love you guys.
I love you back. You have a good one, okay?
You too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.